Welcome, grade nines, okay, to our new topic that we're about to start the session. It is systems in the human body. Okay, we've just come out of a section looking at the cells that we find in our bodies, as well as different cells that exist in the world in living organisms such as plants and animals. And today we're going to dive into or we're going to start off by diving into one of the first systems that we find in our bodies, which is our digestive system. Arguably, according to popular belief and possibly strongly opinionated people of this earth, of this world, this is probably the most talked about system in our bodies, arguably. Okay, other systems that do include are the nervous system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, amongst others. All right, but the digestive system, of course, that is the system that deals probably the most with food on a daily basis. Okay, so we're first going to just introduce the topic, and then we're going to dive into the digestive system. Okay, so first thing we're going to also have a look at as well, of course, is the integration, which will fill up this mind map as we go along. Is also just look at the integration of these systems in the future as we carry on. Okay, so the digestive system, we're going to look at the processes, the components, as well as the health issues that attack every single system throughout this topic of systems in the human body. What have we learned so far? We've obviously had a look at the fact that in every living organism, it carries out at least 6 processes in order to stay alive. Okay. Now, I'm sure we have touched on this, but there's no harm, I would say, use the word harm rather, in going through those 6 processes once again. Okay, this is rule line here. We know that they are feeding. Okay, everything needs to feed. All right, which is the input. All right, respiring, breathing. Okay, respiratory. Moving. There needs to be movement, of course, can't stay stagnant or static. Excreting of waste products or waste. In other words, the nutrition or input from feeding that was not used in the system at all. Of course, sensing. And of course, reproduction. Okay. All living organisms must somehow reproduce. Okay. What else have we also learned? We've also learned about the organ system. All right, that the human body is made up of organ systems, and they carry out these 6 processes. Okay. What we're going to learn about in the unit of systems in the human body is the organ systems of the human body and how they keep us healthy by carrying out the processes of life. Okay. Now, something that we must pay attention to just quickly is that if the body is to work well, all right, not only must all systems work properly, they must work well together. Okay. So it's not enough for each system to work properly. They need to work well, of course, together. Okay, something that's very important that we should probably take down in a different color. Okay, let's use a star for this important piece of information. All right, and that states that the rate at which each system works must match, that's not one word, there is a bit of a space there, must match that of all the others. In other words, your organ system is like that of a sports team, a football team, rugby team, whatever team sport. They must all work together. If the players on the sports field don't gel or work well together, the team will often end up losing. Alright? As if they all worked well together and played their roles, individual roles, and they worked well together, then the team could have possibly have won the game. The same thing with an organ system. All the systems in the human body, not only must they work properly, but they must work well together. Right, another example, if we have an athlete, okay? If an athlete someone running the 100 meters, an athlete like Usain Bolt, he's running the 100 meters. Of course, he held the world record, or possibly still holds the world record. I must check that fact. I actually haven't followed athletics in a while. But when Usain Bolt is running on the track, he has an increased need for oxygen, or energy, shall I say. Right? So the blood system must carry oxygen more quickly to the cells and carry carbon dioxide, which is wastes, all right? Because we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So that process needs to happen quicker, all right? At the same time, the breathing system, must also speed up to get oxygen into the blood faster and carbon dioxide away from the body faster. Okay, so let's just picture that for a second, and maybe let me say that again. Usain Bolt, 100-meter sprinter, athlete, is running on the track in his 100-meter race. He has an increased need for energy, and one of the things that quantify or supply energy fast to his muscles that are working is oxygen. So the blood system needs to carry oxygen faster to the muscles, as well as carry carbon dioxide waste away from his muscles in the blood. So that system needs to work fast. At the same time, his breathing system needs to work hard to also get oxygen into the blood and get carbon dioxide out, or from the blood out of his body. So they need to work pretty fast and pretty well together. That's just another example. Now, based on what I said, everything in the body that's working together for this athlete, right? Now, if those two systems didn't work well together, the athlete probably couldn't run his or her race, right? Or Usain Bolt couldn't run his race, okay? Since all the body systems depend on each other in this way, we say that all the systems are integrated, okay? That's why in our mind map we put integration, because all of the systems that we're going to add to this mind map are they are integrated, of course. Fantastic. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look now at just a little picture of the human digestive system. Right, so what we have here is a little graphical representation of the digestive system, all right, that we find in the average human body, okay? And before we get down to taking in notes, let's just have a look at the components, all right? And of course, we know the mouth would be around here on this side. I don't know if I need to zoom in a little bit. Let me zoom out first. We have the mouth on this side as the salivary glands. But the most important part is starting from the esophagus, all right, leading down here, because we know what process happens in the mouth. Of course, in the mouth we have ingestion and digestion. So mouth food goes in our mouth, and we start breaking food down. The minute food starts breaking down, we are entering into the digestion phase. All right. So it goes into the mouth, and we start breaking the food down, and ingestion and digestion take place. Then we have the esophagus, which we see there. Arguably, sometimes it's spelt differently, actually, in some different places of the world that speak English. All right, another spelling, which I'll just show you quickly, of the esophagus. Let me just I don't know what the heck is going on here. Sorry, laptop decided to go crazy. Is this spelling. esophagus. Okay, but another word for it, of course, is called the gullet. Okay, the gullet. Okay, that's coming down from the mouth, which is this little pipe-like description over here, right? It resembles what we would look at as a pipe. Okay, so food would obviously travel down the esophagus or the pipe. Okay, then obviously we have the liver over here. This little red depiction over here. We have the liver. Okay, so I'm going to deal with the left side first, and then we have the gallbladder. All right, the gallbladder. Of course, this is our stomach. All right, this is our stomach over here, which we can see is resembles sort of like a bean. All right, the way it's drawn, sort of like a bean. All right, and of course we have our pancreas over there. Okay, which is a gland. Okay, and then of course we have the start of the small intestine, which is in the middle here. All right, which kind of runs just also behind here as well, which is the large intestine. All right. So the small intestine would start like from this little end over here, would start here and go into this little brown like slinky mince thing looking depiction over here. And then of course we got the larger intestine, okay, which also deals with absorption as well. In fact, your intestines absorb. So your small and your large intestine, they deal with absorption, okay. Or this over here. Over here is where the digestion would take place for absorption, just above the small intestine where it starts. Of course, we have our appendix, rectum, where egestion happens, as well as the anus, where egestion happens. This is common in every single human body. Okay, depending on size, obviously it'll look a bit like bigger or smaller, but it replicates the same thing as we all have it. All right, cool. Now that we have a graphical representation of how the digestive system looks in a human body, let's go and dive deeper into some of the info. Okay, now the first question we must ask about any system that exists, whether it's in the human body, which is this topic, or in a system that exists outside, another topic and another subject, is what is its function? What does it do? What is its function? Why does it exist to work? Okay, well, the function of a digestive system, okay, number one, is to break down food. All right, break down food. Okay, it must break it down into what? Smaller substances. Okay. Okay. What is the smaller substances called? There's a word for it. Nutrients. Okay, which we have heard this word more than once on TV. Okay, nutrients can also dissolve in water. All right. So the function of a digestive system is to break our food down into smaller substances, all right, which is called nutrients, that can be dissolved in water. Okay, only when they are dissolved in water can the food be absorbed by the blood. Right? So once these nutrients are dissolved in water, okay, are dissolved in water, only then can they be absorbed by the blood. All right. And then they can be carried to the cells. Let's put that in there. And once it's carried to the cells by the blood, of course, it can be used. All right. So let's just track this again quickly. Function of a digestive system: breaks down food into smaller substances called nutrients, which can be dissolved and which is dissolved in water. Then the blood absorbs this water, which the nutrients has been dissolved in, and that is carried through to the cells in the various other systems, right, in the organ systems, and that is where they are used. Okay. Later on in the unit, of course, we'll learn about the digestive system in more detail, but we're just going to discuss the main points in this unit for now. Right. So now that we know its function, let's carry on and have a look at the 4 main processes that actually happen in a digestive system. So what we have here is a table with 4 processes that happen in our digestive system, or the 4 main processes that happen in our digestive system, as well as the description of each. All right, so let's go through this as best that we can. First process, of course, is ingestion. As I explained, we're looking at the diagram where the food is sensed in the mouth, and then, of course, it is swallowed down through the esophagus, and it will start entering the stomach and through the small intestines and blah, blah, blah. And then we're leading to the second process, which is the digestion process. Now, ingestion is a very short process. Digestion is the longest process. All right. The stomach and the intestines, small chemicals that exist in our stomach is called enzymes. Okay, let's underline that word actually, enzymes. Okay, these are the chemicals that are within our stomach and within our digestive system, or intestines. Enzymes. They turn the food into simpler substances called nutrients, all right, that can dissolve in water. Okay, that takes a while. So often when we eat a lot of food, we end up being full, or we feel like our stomach is, or we still have food in our stomach, because our enzymes are working a little overtime to try and get all the food that we have eaten broken up into simpler substances so that water can absorb it. That's why they always tell us to drink a lot of water, of course, right? The more water we have in our system, the faster we possibly, according to theory, can digest our food. And then we move on to the absorption process, all right, which is not as long as digestion, but kind of almost as long. The nutrients that now pass out through the stomach and intestines wall, there's a little wall there that it passes through. So now they pass that wall, just like there's a cell wall, all right, that allows things to nutrients to pass through and pass out. Like in and out, the same thing. We have an intestine and a stomach wall. Okay. And now once those nutrients are now passed out, they go into the blood. They go into the stream and they get carried away to the liver. All right. So your liver plays a big role in absorption of the nutrients. Okay, and of course then we'll carry away to the liver, and of course then it goes to the different parts of our body, different organ systems, of course, where it's used for a specific function, you know, whether it be muscle tissue repair, etc., etc. And then the fourth process is called egestion. Okay, these materials that cannot be used, in other words, they are not used because the body has absorbed all it can, it's absorbed enough, it does not need anymore. They are therefore left behind, all right? And now they do not get absorbed by the liver, so where they're still within the intestines or the colon, and then they are passed out of the body, as the medical or the life science term for it is called feces. Now, of course, we know the digestive system, according to the chart that we looked at, had major components, of course. And if we just go have a look over here, the major components of the digestive system would include the mouth, the esophagus, which we have over here, the stomach, the intestines being the small and large, rectum, anus, as well as the liver. So I'm going to write them out for you because you need to get the esophagus spelling right. Okay, how we spell it here from where we're from. Okay, so the components, we have the mouth, of course, where ingestion happens and digestion actually starts. We have the esophagus, O-E-S-O, and phagus, esophagus. 3, of course, it's S, the stomach. before, the intestines, we know, small and large. Okay. Small and large. Rectum. It's just before the anus, otherwise known as your butt. And of course the liver. Okay. Great. These can be seen in the diagram that we just looked at over here. Alright. This can be seen there. Okay. And of course we have what is known as what's the word I'm looking for? Certain word I'm looking for over here. We have the esophagus, which is also known as the gullet. I know I didn't write that down. There we go. That's what I was looking for. The gullet. Okay, and which is also sometimes also referred to as the gut. All right, it's a gut. If you have watched any type of catch and cook videos on YouTube where they maybe catch crayfish or whatever, they remove what is called as a gut, and that's usually a little tube, whether it's long or short. It's just a little gut that obviously has all the stuff that's in the stomach. All right, and of course that's where all the waste products are in, and we don't want to eat that in food. So the same thing here. This would be like this big picture here, starting from here all the way through here, would often be referred to as the gut. So this whole system that we have, the digestive system, of course, almost every living organism has some type of digestive system. Of course, fish, birds, mammals, the animals, mammals, us as humans have a digestive system. But I wonder how long the digestive system in humans are. Okay, I wonder. Oh, I know. The whole system in a human body is approximately nearly 9 meters long. Alright, so if we must unfold this entire digestive system out of an average human being, it'll be close to 9 meters long if we had to lay it out in a straight line. But of course, if we look at the digestive system, for example, the small intestine, we can see that obviously it does not exist in our bodies as a straight line. It is obviously folded up. All right, so we must lay it out all over. If we must lay it out of somebody's gut, or if we gut somebody down the abdominals and we take it all out, it'll be about close to approximately 9 meters long. But the only reason why it's folded up is because our abdominal muscles is considered to be, or that abdominal section underneath our chest to our waist, it's quite a short section to fit up about 9 meters worth of system. Okay, it's quite a short little space or section, okay, as we see in this little diagram here. Okay, we've obviously discussed that each separate part of our digestive system is specialized for a specific process. All right, and we've obviously, I'm sure, pictured by now certain foods that we eat passing through the depiction that we see there of our digestive system. So whether it be a piece of bread, which school students eat on average every day, 5 days a week, as long as they have school, as long as they're at school. All right, piece of bread going into the mouth, all right, passing through, taking a turn, and then obviously what's happening to each of the specific process. However, this digestive system is not invincible. No sir, no ma'am. It does however, is susceptible rather to a couple of health issues. All right, a couple of health issues. Okay, we're going to discuss a couple in just a moment. Okay, one of those processes, health issues rather, that it contacts a certain health issue is ulcers. I don't know if any of you have heard of ulcers or stomach ulcers, right? Let's start maybe a new blank page for it. Ulcers. Okay, ulcers very, it's very dangerous. Okay, let's just type the heading, health issues. Okay, I'm just going to summarize these little health issues. One of it being ulcers. Ulcers are very dangerous. Okay, if an ulcer in your stomach, I don't know if anybody has gotten a mouth ulcer before, but a mouth ulcer is also quite sore. It can be very annoying and irritating in your mouth. A stomach ulcer, though, if it bursts in your stomach, that could cause a lot of problems for you. Okay, I know people that have passed on from a stomach ulcer bursting in their stomach, and they didn't see to it, or they didn't know about it, and they have unfortunately passed away. So it is very, very serious. Okay, now what are ulcers, or stomach ulcers more specifically? They are referred to as bleeding pits. Okay, bleeding pits. And where do they form? All right, bleeding pits, well, they form in the lining of the stomach and the intestine. Okay, ever heard of stomach lining? All right, they form in the lining of the stomach and intestines. This is just one of the health issues. There are a couple of others as well. Okay, of course, known as bleeding pits. Number one, they are painful, and number two, they bleed. Okay. Now, why is it dangerous? Okay, it can be so dangerous. All right, it can be so dangerous that the bleeding pit, all right, or the pit of the ulcer, may get so deep that it passes right through the wall of the intestine. All right, so if it gets deep, so if very deep, all right, it may pass through the wall, of the intestine. Okay, it passes through the wall of the intestine, and then what happens? Food from the gut it can leak out into the tissues and cause, obviously, infection, because it is digestive food with enzymes. It's poison. And of course, if it bleeds, you can cough up blood as well, and it'll be a very serious infection. Okay, so food from the gut now goes into the gland layer. All right, and of course, under each gland layer was known as a blood-rich layer. Okay, underneath the gland, all right, which would be known as your gut. Okay, so now that acid food from the gut, it's digested food. It's not the food that you put in your mouth. It's now gone through the chemicals and the acids in your stomach. Okay, now once it leaks in there, it causes infection as bacteria, and the food start to rot away the tissues. And then, of course, what happens? The blood leaks out. Blood now leaks out into the food. Okay, and then that's an ulcer would be formed. Okay, a couple of other health issues is anorexia. People are anorexic. Of course, diarrhea is another serious health issue. All right, where feces are very they're very watery. All right, and they cannot be held in the body. So if you have a stomach bug, all right, it's often referred to as a tummy bug or stomach flu. All right, it's a common health problem, of course, that happens when a virus or bacterium stops the large intestine from carrying out its job of absorbing water. All right, so now it kind of messes around with the large intestine, and the large intestine can't hold the water and can't absorb the waste food, and so everything just leaks out basically. And where does it leak out? It obviously leaks out through the rectum and through the anus. I'm sure some of us have had diarrhea before. Okay, so not to talk too much about it, but why is it dangerous? Is that the body will then become short of water, and a person will become dehydrated and become very sick. However, good news though is that you can recover quickly from diarrhea. Okay, if you take plenty of liquid that contain lots of salts, and that will replace what you have lost in your body. Okay, so for the class, we're going to pop up two research. Well, actually not two research, but we're going to pop up another research task. All right. I know we had one from last week. Don't worry about it. We're going to have a look at it now. Okay, gonna have a look at a research task. All right, I want you to research and find out, are there any other digestive system health issues, all right, besides or other than those discussed here? All right, let's write that word properly. Let's say in here. Let's make it feel like we took me in the room. There we go. All right, find out, are there any other? So there might be maybe one or two, right? Could be one that no one's heard before. Okay, I know we mentioned anorexia, so that's one you could research. What is it if you don't know what anorexia is? All right, maybe there's something else that attacks the liver, or perhaps the gallbladder, or something else. All right, this is your research task for next week. And grade 9s, that concludes our session for today on the digestive system. The first system we looked at here, it's systems in the human body. Stay tuned for the next video where we'll have a look at the next system, which is the circulatory system.